The words hung in the air like a slap across the face of every silent bystander. We don't eat with monkeys. That sentence changed everything. But before the cafeteria fell silent, before the sound of a body being thrown into a table echoed off the walls, and before phones lit up recording what would become a viral moment, there was only the usual noise. Just another Wednesday at River Point High School in suburban Texas, where privilege dressed in varsity jackets and old money paid for the school's new gym. And in the far corner of the lunchroom, away from the laughter and the cliques, sat Nyla Carter. Nyla wasn't new here. She'd been enrolled at River Point for 10 months. But to most students, she might as well have been invisible. Not because she lacked personality or because she was quiet, which she was, but because she didn't look like them. Nyla was the only black girl in her grade, maybe even in the whole school. She wore her hair in thick box braids, kept her head down, her earbuds in, and her voice low. She didn't cause trouble, didn't try to make waves. But that day, she wasn't invisible anymore. That day, someone noticed her, the wrong someone. His name was Carson Ryland. 6'3", starting linebacker, cocky, loud, entitled. The kind of kid whose smirk made teachers hesitate before calling him out in class. His father owned half the car dealerships in the county, and his uncle sat on the school board. Carson acted like he owned River Point, because, in many ways, he did. There have been whispers for years about the way certain students of color never stayed long, about the names they were called, about jokes that weren't funny. But those whispers were always buried beneath booster club donations and winning football records. Carson spotted Nyla across the room like a lion locking in on prey. He swaggered over, slammed his tray onto the table beside hers, sending ketchup splashing across her notebook. Nyla slowly removed her earbuds, her eyes calm. "What the hell are you doing in here?" Carson growled, leaning in close. "This ain't your table. Hell, this ain't even your town." She didn't respond. That pissed him off. "I said," he barked louder, "what are you doing here, monkey?" The cafeteria fell into an uneasy hush. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. Someone gasped. Another snickered. Carson stood, towering over her, puffed up like a rooster in a fight. "You think you're better than us? Coming in here with your dirty skin, sitting like you belong?" He kicked her tray off the table. It clattered to the floor with a crash. Still, Nyla didn't flinch. Then he reached for her arm. But Carson never touched her. Because Nyla moved first. It happened so fast most people didn't even see it. There was only a crack, a horrible sound followed by a body hitting the ground. Carson was on his back, gasping, arm twisted behind him. Nyla had one foot on his shoulder, calmly pressing him down like she'd done it 1,000 times before. Screams. Phones out. People shouting. "Yo, she just dropped Carson." Coach Barnett came rushing in, lunch monitors trailing behind him. What the hell is going on? Carson was sobbing, real tears, snot, everything. "She attacked me. She broke my arm." Nyla stepped back, letting him go. Her face was calm. Her voice was steady. "I didn't touch him until he tried to grab me. I defended myself." Coach looked at her, then at the dozens of students with phones still recording, their expressions a mix of shock and awe. He looked confused. Then, worried. Principal Talford was there within minutes. They asked Nyla to come to the office. She didn't argue. She calmly picked up her bag and walked beside them. As she passed Carson, she looked him in the eye and said, barely a whisper, "You picked the wrong one." Inside the office, Principal Talford sat behind a desk that looked like it had never seen a fingerprint. He tried to act like he had control of the situation. "Nyla, this is serious," he said. "You assaulted another student." "He called me a monkey," she replied without blinking. Talford shifted in his seat. "Still," he muttered, "violence isn't the answer." Nyla leaned in slightly. "I didn't come here to fight. But I'm not going to sit here and let someone treat me like trash." Then she pulled something out of her backpack. A small, laminated card. She slid it across the desk. It read, "Nyla Carter, Certified Junior Combat Champion, 3rd Degree Black Belt, Lone Star Martial Arts Academy." Talford's face drained of color. "You're trained?" he asked. She nodded. "My dad taught me never to start a fight. But he also taught me never to back down when someone crosses the line." Her father, Master Sergeant Damon Carter, was a highly respected veteran with a background in military hand-to-hand combat. Her mother, Patrice, ran a community self-defense program for at-risk girls. Nyla had grown up with pads and punching bags before she ever played with dolls. But she never bragged, never showed off. Until now. By the time she left the office, the video was already blowing up on Snapchat and TikTok. It had a soundtrack, memes, even captions. She folded Carson like laundry. Queen Nyla didn't flinch. Carson messed with the wrong one. That night, parents started calling. Not to complain about Nyla, but to ask what the hell Carson's problem was. Some were furious. Others were relieved. Turns out, this wasn't Carson's first time. Four other black students had left Riverpoint in the past 2 years. All of them had cited bullying or a hostile environment. Until Nyla, no one had listened. That night, she sat on the porch beside her mother, watching the sky turn pink. "You all right, baby?" Patrice asked. "I didn't want it to happen like that," Nyla whispered. Her mother nodded. "Sometimes, the moment picks you, but you get to choose what you do in it." The next morning, Riverpoint felt different. Carson wasn't in school. Rumors said he was suspended. Some said expelled. The halls buzzed. Some students stared at Nyla like she was radioactive. Others whispered her name like a superhero. The tension hung thick in the air. Principal Talford called her back into his office that morning. His tone was different, more cautious. "I want to make sure you're okay," he said. "And to let you know, we're taking steps." "What kind of steps?" she asked. He stammered. "Reviewing the footage. Talking to staff. Cultural sensitivity training." Carson's suspension is indefinite. But Nyla had learned from her father, real change doesn't start with empty words. It starts with evidence. So she pulled out a sheet of paper and placed it on the desk. It was a list, names, dates, incidents, a timeline. Every black student who had transferred, dropped out, or filed a complaint at Riverpoint over the past 5 years. She'd spent the night combing social media, texting old classmates, talking to her cousin's friends who'd been forced to leave. Some entries were short. Devin James, called cotton picker in gym, transferred mid-year. Michaela Porter, hair pulled by classmates, teachers laughed, transferred. Jordan Wills, pushed into lockers, no punishment, dropped out. Some were worse. Andre Fields, cornered behind bleachers by 3 athletes. No report filed. Switched to homeschooling. Principal Talford stared at the paper like it was a grenade with the pin already pulled. "I didn't know," he murmured. "That's the problem," Nyla said. What no one realized was that Carson Ryland wasn't just a bully. He was part of a quiet operation, a group of privileged boys who saw it as their job to protect the image of Riverpoint. They made anyone who didn't fit that image feel unwelcome. And they weren't alone. Some teachers looked the other way. Some coaches kept quiet because they didn't want to lose players. The administration stayed silent for the sake of keeping the peace. But now the truth was on every phone, in every group chat, every news feed. And it started in a cafeteria. Meanwhile, Carson was falling apart. The video wouldn't go away. His friends abandoned him. His college offers dried up. But that wasn't the end of it. A substitute teacher, Ms. Adele Norris, who'd only been at Riverpoint a few weeks, came forward. She sent an email to the district school board, exposing a hidden file in the staff lounge. It was labeled Transfer Justifications Confidential. Inside, notes from former staff members calling students disruptive, non-compliant, and in one case, urban and poorly suited for the school's culture. It was a cover-up. That same day, Ms. Norris met Nyla in secret behind the library and handed her a flash drive. "You didn't get this from me," she said. "But the world deserves to know." Nyla nodded. "Don't worry. I got it." She sent the files to a local news station. 2 days later, the story exploded. Texas teen exposes systemic racism at elite high school. There were interviews, video clips, protests, parents holding signs outside the school gates. News vans lined up. And right in the middle of it all, standing tall and calm, was Nyla Carter. "I didn't come to fight," she told the reporter. "But I also won't stay silent when I see injustice. This isn't just about me. This is about every kid who had to leave while the bullies stayed." Riverpoint had no choice. Carson Ryland was expelled. 2 teachers were placed on leave. A full investigation was launched. And Nyla? She was asked to help lead the new Student Equity Board. But she didn't stop there. She founded a student group called Voices at the Table, a safe space for students of every background to speak, listen, and share. On her last day at Riverpoint before transferring to a more inclusive magnet school nearby, Nyla sat in the same cafeteria corner where it all began. This time, she wasn't alone. Around her sat classmates, white, black, Latino, Asian, all wearing black shirts with her name printed in bold white letters. "We eat here too." Carson faded into memory, a cautionary tale, not a legacy. And Nyla Carter became something greater. A reminder that silence doesn't keep you safe, and that sometimes the quietest person in the room is the most dangerous one of all.